The moment my daughter-in-law laughed at my dead wife's memory, I knew exactly how to destroy her world. My name is Robert Mitchell. I'm 73 years old, and until 6 months ago, I thought I knew everything about loyalty, family, and the kind of people my sons had married. I was wrong. Before I tell you how I made my daughter-in-law regret every cruel word she ever spoke, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now for sour revenge stories. Because what you're about to hear, this is the kind of justice that'll make you stand up and cheer. Trust me, you don't want to miss how this ends. Let me take you back to where this all started. March 15th. The day that should have been a celebration. My wife, Eleanor, passed away exactly 1 year before that date. 50 years of marriage. 50 years of waking up next to the same beautiful face. 50 years of inside jokes, shared dreams, and the kind of love that most people only see in movies. Eleanor wasn't just my wife. She was my best friend, my business partner, the mother of my 2 sons, David and Marcus. She was the woman who stood by me when I had nothing but $20 in my pocket and a dream to start my own construction company. And let me tell you something about Eleanor Mitchell. That woman had more strength in her pinky finger than most people have in their entire body. When I wanted to give up during the recession of 2008, when we almost lost everything, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "Robert, we didn't build this empire to watch it crumble. We built it to pass it on." She was right. We didn't just survive. We thrived. By the time Eleanor got sick, Mitchell Construction had become one of the most respected commercial building companies in the tri-state area. We employed over 200 people. We had contracts with major corporations. We had assets worth over $40 million. But none of that mattered when the doctor told us she had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. I watched the strongest woman I'd ever known waste away over 8 months. I held her hand through every chemo session. I wiped her tears when she lost her hair. I told her she was beautiful even when she couldn't recognize herself in the mirror. And you know what she worried about? Not herself. Not the pain. Not the inevitable end. She worried about our family. "Robert," she told me 3 weeks before she died, her voice barely a whisper, "promise me you'll keep our boys together. Promise me you'll make sure they take care of each other." I promised. God help me, I promised. The funeral was beautiful. Over 500 people came to pay their respects. Our sons, David and Marcus, stood on either side of me, holding me up when I thought my legs would give out. Their wives, Jennifer and Chloe, seemed appropriately somber. Jennifer, Marcus's wife, even gave a eulogy about how Eleanor had welcomed her into the family with open arms. She talked about Eleanor's kindness, her wisdom, her grace. I believed every word. Looking back now, I realize what a fool I was. The first hint of trouble came about 3 months after Eleanor's death. I was having dinner at Marcus and Jennifer's house. Just a casual Sunday meal, or so I thought. David and his wife Chloe were there too. It should have been nice. A family coming together in grief, supporting each other. Jennifer made pot roast. Eleanor's recipe. "Mom would have loved this," David said, smiling sadly. "You got it just right, Jen." Jennifer smiled, but there was something in her eyes I couldn't quite place. Something cold. "Well," she said, setting down her wine glass, "I figured someone had to learn Eleanor's recipes. Can't let all that domestic knowledge go to waste." The way she said domestic knowledge made it sound like an insult. Like Eleanor's 50 years of creating a warm, loving home was somehow beneath her. I let it slide. Grief makes people say strange things. But then Marcus mentioned the company. "Dad's been doing amazing," he said, squeezing my shoulder. Landed the Riverside Mall contract last week. $20 million project. That's wonderful, Robert, Chloe said genuinely. Jennifer's fork clinked against her plate. 20 million? My goodness. And here I thought Marcus said the company was worth 40 million total. Seems like there's quite a bit of money floating around. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Jen, we've talked about this. Talked about what? I asked. Nothing, Dad, Marcus said quickly. Jennifer she's been asking questions about the business. About the future. Totally normal stuff. But Jennifer wasn't done. I just think it's important to understand the family finances, that's all. Especially now that Eleanor's gone. God rest her soul, but someone needs to be practical about these things. The way she said it, like Eleanor's death was inconvenient, like we should just move on and focus on the money. I felt something crack inside my chest, but I pushed it down. I was probably being oversensitive. After all, Jennifer had seemed to genuinely love Eleanor. Hadn't she? Over the next few months, Jennifer's true colors started bleeding through like ink on wet paper. She stopped showing up to family dinners, claiming she was too busy with her career. Jennifer was a real estate agent, and according to her, she was the most successful agent in the entire state. Never mind that Marcus paid for their 4,000-square-foot house, her Mercedes, and her country club membership. When she did show up, she had this way of making little comments. Tiny daggers wrapped in smiles. Marcus, honey, tell your father about the investment opportunity one found. You know, since he's sitting on all that money Eleanor helped accumulate. Seems a shame to just let it sit there. Or, David, doesn't your townhouse feel a little small? Marcus and I have so much extra space. Of course, we did have to buy it ourselves. That one was particularly rich, considering I'd given both my sons equal advances on their inheritance to help with their first homes. But the worst was how she talked about Eleanor. At Marcus's birthday dinner, someone mentioned how much they missed Eleanor's lemon cake. Jennifer rolled her eyes and said, "Oh God, yes, the famous lemon cake. Eleanor sure knew how to bake. Thank goodness some of us have skills beyond the kitchen." The table went silent. "Jennifer," Marcus said quietly, "that's my mother you're talking about." "I know, baby," she said, touching his arm. "I'm just saying Eleanor was very traditional. Very simple. Nothing wrong with that. Some women are happy being homemakers." My hands clenched into fists under the table. Eleanor had a degree in business administration. She'd been my partner in every sense of the word. She'd negotiated contracts, managed accounts, and made strategic decisions that saved our company millions. She'd chosen to focus on family and home because that's what made her happy, not because she was simple. But I didn't say anything. Not yet. I was starting to see who Jennifer really was, but I needed to know for sure. I needed to know if this was just grief manifesting as cruelty, or if this woman had been wearing a mask for the entire 10 years she'd been part of our family. So I waited. And I watched. Now, I didn't get to where I am by being stupid. I built a $40 million company from nothing. That requires more than just hard work. It requires understanding people, reading them, knowing when someone's playing you. So I started paying attention. I noticed that Jennifer's career involved a lot of long lunches and shopping trips. I noticed that she constantly pressured Marcus about money, about his position in the company, about what he was owed. "See, here's what you need to understand about my sons. David, my oldest, he's cautious, thoughtful. He's the chief financial officer of Mitchell Construction, and he's brilliant with numbers, conservative with risk. He's happy with his position and his salary. Marcus, my youngest. He's more ambitious, more aggressive. He's the VP of operations, and he's good at what he does. Really good. But Jennifer had been in his ear for months, whispering about how he deserved more, how he should be CEO, how David was getting preferential treatment. None of it was true. I treated my sons equally, always had. But Jennifer was poisoning Marcus's mind, and I could see my family starting to fracture. So I made some calls. I have friends in a lot of places. Real estate, banking, legal circles. I asked around about Jennifer. What I found out made my blood run cold. Jennifer wasn't the successful real estate agent she claimed to be. She'd barely sold a dozen houses in the past 3 years. Her career was funded entirely by Marcus's salary and the allowance she convinced him to give her. But here's the kicker. She'd been having an affair with another real estate agent, a guy named Brad something or other, who drove a Porsche and wore too much cologne. They'd been together for at least 2 years, maybe longer. My private investigator got me photos, video, timestamps. Jennifer and Brad at hotels. Jennifer and Brad on business trips to Miami, Vegas, New York. All on Marcus's dime. I felt sick. My son, my baby boy, was being used, cheated on, made a fool of. But I still didn't tell him. Not yet. Because I'd also learned something else. Jennifer had been talking to a divorce attorney. She was planning to leave Marcus, but she was waiting. Waiting for what exactly? Then it clicked. She was waiting for me to die. See, I'd mentioned to the family that I was updating my will, that I wanted to make sure everything was in order before too much time passed after Eleanor's death. Jennifer knew that a divorce before I passed meant Marcus would keep his inheritance. But if she waited until after I died, she could divorce Marcus and potentially take half of everything he inherited. She wasn't just a cheater. She was a calculating, gold-digging vulture, circling my family and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The rage I felt was unlike anything I'd experienced. This woman had sat at my dinner table. She'd hugged me at my wife's funeral. She'd looked me in the eye and lied, over and over again. And now she was going to destroy my son. Not if I could help it. I decided to host a family dinner. March 15th. Exactly 1 year after Eleanor's death. I told everyone I wanted to commemorate Eleanor's memory. That I wanted us all together, as a family, to honor the woman who'd made us all possible. Marcus and Jennifer agreed to come, though Jennifer made sure to tell me she could only stay for a few hours, because she had an important client meeting the next morning. Sure you do, sweetheart. Sure you do. David and Chloe arrived first. Chloe brought flowers for Eleanor's portrait, which still hung in the dining room. She's a good woman, Chloe. A pediatric nurse with a heart of gold. She loved Eleanor like a second mother. When Marcus and Jennifer arrived, Jennifer was wearing a designer dress that probably cost $3,000. She air-kissed my cheek and immediately started critiquing my housekeeper's choice of appetizers. Store-bought bruschetta? Really, Robert? Eleanor would have made everything from scratch. Eleanor would have been grateful someone was feeding her family, I replied calmly. Jennifer laughed. That high-pitched, fake laugh that made my teeth ache. Oh, Robert, you're so sentimental. It's sweet, really. We sat down to dinner. I'd had the meal catered from Eleanor's favorite restaurant. Her favorite dishes. Everything she would have ordered if she was still here. For a while, we ate in relative peace. David shared stories about work. Chloe talked about a difficult case at the hospital. Marcus seemed quiet, stressed. I could see the weight Jennifer had put on his shoulders. Then Jennifer made a mistake. She got too comfortable. So, Robert, she said, refilling her wine glass for the third time, have you finished updating that will yet? Marcus mentioned you've been working on it for months now. The table went quiet. Jennifer, Marcus said, his voice tight with embarrassment. What? She shrugged. It's a legitimate question. We're all adults here. We all know that Robert isn't going to be around forever. No offense, Robert, but you're what, 73? It's just practical to make sure things are in order. I appreciate your concern, I said evenly. I'm just saying, Jennifer continued, warming to her subject. Eleanor always handled these things, didn't she? All the important paperwork, the household management. That was her job. And now that she's gone, someone needs to make sure you're not making any mistakes. Mistakes? I repeated. Well, yes. I mean, no offense, but men of your generation didn't really handle the details, did you? You worked, you brought home the bacon, and women like Eleanor handled everything else. It was very traditional. There it was again. That condescending tone when she talked about Eleanor. David's jaw was clenched. Chloe looked like she wanted to throw her wine in Jennifer's face. Marcus was staring at his plate, mortified. Jennifer, I said slowly, do you think my wife was just a housewife? Well, I mean, wasn't she? I'm not judging. Different times and all that. But let's be honest, she didn't actually work, did she? She just supported you. Which is nice, but it's not the same as having a real career, like I do. And there it was. The mask wasn't just slipping anymore. It was completely off. A real career, I repeated. Like yours. Exactly. I mean, I love Marcus, but I would die if I had to just stay home and bake cakes all day like Eleanor did. I need intellectual stimulation. Purpose. I need to feel like I'm contributing something meaningful to the world. The room was so quiet you could hear the clock ticking in the hallway. Tell me, Jennifer, I said, my voice dangerously calm, how many houses have you sold this year? She blinked. What? Houses? Sales? Your real career? How many? I don't see how that's relevant. 4, I said. You've sold 4 houses this year, for a total commission of approximately $43,000, which means, after taxes and expenses, you've netted maybe $25,000. Is that about right? Jennifer's face went red. How dare you? And last year? 3 houses. Year before that? 5. In the 3 years you've been claiming to have this amazing career, you've made less than what Marcus spends annually on your country club membership. Marcus looked up sharply. Dad, what are you? And yet, I continued, you sit at my table on the anniversary of my wife's death, and you mock her. You belittle her. You reduce 50 years of marriage and partnership to baking cakes. I wasn't mocking her, Jennifer sputtered. I was just being honest about. Let me tell you about honesty, Jennifer. My wife Eleanor earned a business degree from Cornell in 1971, when women made up less than 20% of business school students. She graduated summa cum laude. She could have worked anywhere, done anything. And you know what she chose? She chose to build an empire with me, side by side, partner to partner. I stood up, and everyone's eyes followed me. Eleanor didn't just support Mitchell Construction. She co-founded it. Her name might not be on the paperwork, but her fingerprints are on every contract, every decision, every success we've ever had. While I was on construction sites, she was negotiating with banks, managing accounts, building relationships with clients. That woman worked 18-hour days while pregnant with David. She closed a $3 million deal the day before Marcus was born. Jennifer opened her mouth, but nothing came out. So when you sit there, in a dress my son paid for, drinking wine my son bought, living in a house my son's inheritance helped purchase, and you mock my wife's memory? You mock everything she built, everything she sacrificed, everything she was. I walked to my study and came back with a folder. That, Jennifer, is when I decide you need to learn exactly what kind of woman Eleanor was, and exactly what kind of woman you are. I placed the folder on the table. Marcus, I said gently, I'm sorry you have to find out this way. I really am. Find out what? Marcus looked between me and Jennifer, confusion and fear warring on his face. I opened the folder and spread out the photographs. Jennifer and Brad at a restaurant. Jennifer and Brad checking into a hotel. Jennifer and Brad on a beach in Mexico. The color drained from Marcus's face. Dad, what is this? Your wife has been having an affair for at least 2 years, I said quietly, with a colleague named Brad Sutherland. They've taken at least 8 trips together, all charged to credit cards that you pay off every month. Jennifer shot to her feet. You had me followed? You invaded my privacy. You invaded my son's trust. You made a mockery of my family. And you disrespected my wife's memory for the last time. Marcus, baby, I can explain. Jennifer reached for him, but Marcus jerked away from her touch. Don't, he said, his voice breaking. Don't you dare touch me. It's not what it looks like. I have video too, I said. Hotel security footage. Lots of it. Would you like me to play it, or have we all seen enough? Jennifer's face twisted into something ugly. The beautiful mask was completely shattered now, revealing the monster underneath. You self-righteous old man, she hissed. You think you're so much better than me? You think your precious Eleanor was some kind of saint? She was just a woman who was too scared to make it on her own, so she latched onto you and pretended it was love. Get out of my house, I said. Gladly. And when I'm done with Marcus in the divorce, I'm going to take him for everything he's worth. I'm going to destroy him. No, I said calmly. You're not. Watch me. You can't take what he doesn't have. Marcus, as of this morning, you no longer have any significant assets in your name. Marcus looked at me, confused. What? I had my lawyers transfer everything. The house is now in a trust. Your investment accounts, your savings, all restructured this morning. If Jennifer divorces you, she'll get nothing. Jennifer's eyes went wide. You can't do that. That's illegal. It's perfectly legal. And speaking of legal, I have another surprise for you. David, would you bring in our guest? David left the room and returned with a man in a suit. My lawyer, Richard Chen. Richard has some papers for you, Jennifer, I said. Richard placed a document in front of her. These are adultery complaint forms. In this state, adultery is grounds for a fault-based divorce. Marcus can divorce you, and you'll receive nothing. No spousal support. No division of assets. Nothing. You're bluffing, Jennifer said, but her voice shook. Am I? We have photographs, video evidence, credit card statements, hotel records, and testimony from 3 witnesses who've seen you with Brad. You've been caught, Jennifer. Completely and utterly caught. Jennifer looked around the table wildly, like a trapped animal. Marcus, you can't believe them. You love me. We can work through this. Marcus was crying now, tears streaming down his face. Did you ever love me? Was any of it real? Jennifer's silence was answer enough. Get out, Marcus said quietly. Marcus, Get out! His roar shook the room. Jennifer stumbled backward, grabbed her purse, and practically ran for the door. As she reached it, I called out one more thing. Oh, and Jennifer? That client meeting you have tomorrow? Brad canceled it. He's breaking up with you. Apparently, his wife found out about the affair, and she's a divorce attorney. A very, very good one. I called her personally to share all my evidence. You're about to learn what it's like to lose everything. Jennifer's face went white, and then she was gone, the door slamming behind her. The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus collapsed into his chair, his head in his hands, sobbing. Chloe went to comfort him, holding him while he broke apart. David looked at me with a mix of admiration and sadness. How long have you known? About 3 months, I admitted. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner, Marcus. I needed to be sure. I needed to have all the evidence. And I needed to protect you. She was waiting, Marcus choked out. Waiting until after you died to divorce me. I heard her on the phone once, talking to someone about timing. I didn't understand, but now. She wanted your inheritance, I said. She thought she could bleed you dry after I was gone, when you were most vulnerable. That evil. David couldn't even finish the sentence. But here's the thing, I said, sitting back down. She didn't understand what Eleanor built. She didn't understand what this family is. I pulled out another envelope. This is my updated will. I was going to wait to read it, but given tonight's events, I think now is the right time. Dad, you don't have to, David started. Yes, I do. Because I want you both to hear this while I'm still alive to see your faces. I opened the envelope and began to read. I, Robert James Mitchell, being of sound mind and body, do hereby declare this to be my last will and testament. To my son David Mitchell, who has been my steady hand and wise counsel, I leave 40% of Mitchell Construction, including all assets, properties, and accounts associated with the business. Additionally, I leave him the lake house that he and Eleanor loved so much, and the sum of $2 million for his personal use. David's eyes filled with tears. To my son Marcus Mitchell, who has been my bold spirit and fearless heart, I leave 40% of Mitchell Construction, with equal assets, properties, and accounts. I leave him the mountain cabin where we used to go fishing, and the sum of $2 million for his personal use. Marcus looked up, shocked. But Dad, that's only 80%. What about the remaining 20% of Mitchell Construction, I continued, along with the main family home and all its contents, I leave to the Eleanor Mitchell Foundation for Women in Business, a non-profit organization I have established in my wife's name. This foundation will provide scholarships, mentorship, and business grants to women who want to start their own companies, particularly in industries where women are underrepresented. I set down the paper and looked at my sons. Your mother built an empire with me. She never got public credit for it. She never wanted it. But I'll be damned if her legacy is going to be baking cakes, as Jennifer put it. Every woman who gets a scholarship from this foundation, every business that gets funded, every success story that comes from it, that's Eleanor. That's her real legacy. The room was silent except for the sound of crying. Happy crying this time. The foundation will be managed by a board, which I hope you boys will join. 20% of the company's annual profits will fund it in perpetuity. By my calculations, that's about $2 million a year. That's $2 million a year going to women who want what Eleanor had, the chance to build something amazing. Dad, David said, his voice thick, that's beautiful. Your mother would have loved it, Chloe added, smiling through tears. Marcus, I said, turning to my youngest son, I know tonight has been hell. I know your heart is broken, but you're going to survive this. You're going to thrive. And you're going to find someone who loves you the way your mother loved me, the way Chloe loves David. Real love. Not whatever that was with Jennifer. Marcus nodded, unable to speak. And boys, understand something. This isn't about money. It's not about percentages or properties. It's about understanding that the strongest legacies aren't built by one person. They're built by partnerships, by respect, by people who lift each other up instead of tearing each other down. Eleanor wasn't just my wife. She was my partner in every way that mattered. And I'll be damned if I let anyone diminish that. Not Jennifer. Not anyone. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. Jennifer got nothing. Not a penny. The evidence of her adultery was so overwhelming that her own lawyer advised her to sign the papers and walk away quietly. Marcus went through hell for a while. Grief, anger, betrayal, it all hit him at once. But you know what? He came out stronger. He started therapy. He leaned on his family. And slowly, piece by piece, he rebuilt himself. 6 months after the divorce, Marcus started dating again. A woman named Sarah, who works in construction management. She's smart, funny, and independent. She makes her own money and doesn't need a penny of Marcus's. They're taking things slow, but I can see it in his eyes when he looks at her. That's real affection, real respect. David and Chloe are doing wonderfully. They're talking about having kids soon, and Chloe wants to name their first daughter Eleanor. I told her that would make me the happiest grandfather alive. As for Jennifer, well, karma has a funny way of working. Brad did break up with her, and his wife absolutely destroyed her in court. Sued her for alienation of affection. Yes, that's still a thing in some states, and won. Jennifer had to sell her Mercedes to pay the settlement. Her real estate career, such as it was, completely collapsed. Word got around about what she'd done, and in a business built on trust and relationships, she became toxic. Last I heard, she moved to another state to try to start over. I don't wish her well, but I don't wish her harm either. She's not worth the energy. The Eleanor Mitchell Foundation for Women in Business launched 8 months ago. We've already funded 12 scholarships and 3 business startups. One of them is a construction company run by a young woman who reminds me so much of Eleanor it makes my chest ache. Every time I see one of these women succeed, I think about my wife. I think about everything she built, everything she was. And I know that her legacy is going to outlive all of us. Jennifer thought she could mock 50 years of marriage. She thought she could reduce Eleanor's life to something small and insignificant. But she didn't understand something fundamental. Eleanor's impact wasn't loud or flashy. It was deep. It was lasting. It was woven into the fabric of everything and everyone she touched. You can't mock that. You can't diminish it. You can't destroy it. All you can do is reveal your own emptiness in the attempt. It's been almost 2 years since Eleanor passed now. The pain isn't as sharp anymore, but it's always there. A dull ache where her presence used to be. I still wake up sometimes and reach for her side of the bed. I still make too much coffee because I forget she's not there to share it. I still find myself thinking, I need to tell Eleanor about this, before I remember I can't. But I'm okay. More than okay, actually. Marcus is thriving. He proposed to Sarah last month, and the ring he chose? It was perfect. Thoughtful. Not too flashy, but meaningful. He asked for my blessing first, which he didn't have to do, but it meant the world to me. David and Chloe announced they're pregnant. A girl. Eleanor Grace. I cried like a baby when they told me. The foundation is expanding. We're partnering with 3 universities now and planning a mentorship program. I spend most of my time working on it these days. I've stepped back from the day-to-day operations of Mitchell Construction and let my boys run it. They're doing a better job than I ever did, honestly. Last week, I got a letter from one of our scholarship recipients, a woman named Maria who's starting a welding company. She wrote, "Mr. Mitchell, I never met your wife, but I feel like I know her. Because every time I face a challenge, every time someone tells me I can't do something because I'm a woman, I think about Eleanor. I think about how she built an empire without ever demanding recognition. How she changed lives without ever seeking glory. And I think if she could do it, so can I. Thank you for honoring her memory in a way that changes lives." I read that letter sitting in Eleanor's favorite chair, looking at her portrait, and I felt her presence more strongly than I had in months. That's when I knew. The revenge wasn't about destroying Jennifer, though she certainly deserved it. The revenge wasn't about exposing her cruelty and betrayal, though that was necessary. The real revenge was this. Jennifer tried to make Eleanor small. She tried to reduce a titan to a caricature. She tried to convince the world that my wife's life was insignificant. And in response, I made Eleanor immortal. Every woman who gets a scholarship will carry Eleanor's legacy forward. Every business that gets funded will be a testament to her vision. Every success story will be proof that her impact matters more than Jennifer's cruelty ever could. Jennifer mocked my 50-year marriage at the family dinner. So I read the will aloud and showed her exactly what those 50 years built. An empire. A family. A legacy. Something she could never understand and would never have. That's real revenge. Not destruction but creation. Not tearing someone down, but lifting everyone else up so high that the petty, cruel people become irrelevant. Eleanor taught me that. Even in death, she's still teaching me. If you made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. I'm not a perfect man. I've made mistakes. I've failed more times than I can count. But I loved Eleanor with everything I had, and I'm spending the rest of my life making sure the world knows what an extraordinary woman she was. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it's this. The people who try to diminish others are only revealing their own inadequacy. The people who mock genuine love are only advertising their own emptiness. And the people who matter, they build things that last. Jennifer is a footnote in our family story. A cautionary tale. A reminder of what happens when you choose cruelty over kindness, greed over love. But Eleanor? Eleanor is the story. She always was. She always will be. If you enjoyed this story of justice served cold, go ahead and subscribe to Sour Revenge Stories. Hit that notification bell, because we've got more tales of people who thought they could get away with their cruelty, only to discover that karma, helped along by someone who loves deeply, is very real. Drop a comment below telling me what you think. Would you have handled Jennifer differently? Do you think I went too far, or not far enough? And if you've got a story of your own, someone who mocked what mattered to you, someone who got exactly what they deserved, share it. This community is built on the idea that good people don't have to just take it when cruel people try to destroy what they love. Until next time, remember, live well, love deeply, and never let anyone convince you that loyalty and love are weaknesses. They're the strongest things in the world. My name is Robert Mitchell, and this was my story. Eleanor, baby, this one's for you.